Hi guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Nick Egan Times. We have an awesome guest on this episode. We have Jennifer Edwards. Jennifer has her own fabulous flower and design business in Nashville, Tennessee. Jennifer is a youthful spirit, curious explorer, widely creative being whose weakness is ice cream, shin dimples, and a sense of humour. Welcome, Jennifer, and thank you for coming on my podcast.
Hello from Nashville, Tennessee.
How's it all going over there, down south?
Music City, right?
Yeah.
It's weird, like everywhere else, but not well. Weird is, and it's not the normal cadence that we usually have. That I will say this: the thing that's kept us going, it's a town of music, so people have become very innovative, and we've had more fun with porch concerts and like bouncing around the neighborhoods. And so the music hasn't stopped. And I've noticed that the Bluebird, if you're familiar with the Bluebird, it's a very famous uh, bar and not really, well, it's not really a bar. It's a music venue. And of course, people have been discovered there and all the things. So most people, it's a destination when you come to Nashville is to go to the Bluebird, and it literally is down the street from me. But it's been dark, and then I noticed about 3 weeks ago they started doing shows on Thursday nights, and so I literally drove up, and I was like stalking. But I'm like, is this a show? Or are they just having a meeting? Like, to decide what they're doing? Like, to open back up. But it just makes your heart feel full because you're like, okay, we're gonna be okay if the Bluebird's back. So anyway,
For sure.
but
Are you guys in a lockdown? Like, so can you? What are your restrictions or?
well, we are nothing like Los Angeles right now. I understand is like under complete lockdown, and parts of Europe and everything. But no, we're not locked down. I mean, we have restrictions like the restaurants are only at certain capacities. We do have to wear masks anywhere public, but like the gyms are open now. Our music venues are open downtown, but everything shuts down at 10 p.m. So Broadway goes dark. It's really weird, but people are playing, and so that's the good thing. And our Titans have been great this year, so that's been good. We're getting a soccer team, so everyone's just trying to focus on like the things in the peripheral that are still underway. But we are fortunate that our numbers are down, and that everyone's just being very precautious in all the things.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great insights. Um, all right, let's just jump straight into it. For the
Yes.
listeners, who is Jennifer Edwards?
This is the fraud question. This is one reason why I don't do dating sites because I can never just answer this question. Um, well, I am. I'll say, well, most importantly, as of recently, I acquired a puppy during the pandemic, so I'm mother to General Winston Barker, and I'm an art collector and a foodie, and I just kind of enjoy life on the daily. There's always magic that, like, I kind of feel like I float on this magic all the time, and it's just so funny. I accidentally get into adventures, and it's the thing I love about myself. And I'm a recovering workaholic, and so I'm trying not to bring that into it. Because, like you mentioned, I did own a company for 10 years that was an event design firm, and which focused on floral art and whatnot. And that was my life for like 20 years. And so, like outside of having my own company, it was my what I studied in college, and then I went on to design for television and film, and on and on and on. My career just exploded, and then I was given an opportunity to go corporate, and that's where I've been for the last 3 years now. And so it's been a weird journey because it's definitely not traditional, and it is. Uh, but it's fun because I can look backwards and think how everything has um, begat the next thing, and that in my heart I'm an artist and I'm creative, and I always go back to that. So no matter what I'm doing, it involves a level of creativity. But the corporate side also makes it more secure, and that's really good right now because bless everybody, the event industry is just kind of flat right now. That um, and that everyone's being creative in the fact that they're pivoting, and it's been very interesting to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You've got to adapt to the times, and technology has helped create that
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
everything's virtual. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the things. But I will say this: having been in the wedding world for a long time, I have actually loved that everyone is going to smaller weddings, and I think it's like I've done all the mega weddings, all the things, but there was my favorite thing to do, even on $1 million wedding, was the bouquet for the bride because that's the one. It's the most photographed. It's the one design element that the bride, she dreams about. It's an accessory to her, and or a compliment to to her whole moment. And so I just kind of got like, this is kind of a thing I've always hoped would happen, is that people would become more about the marriage and the people who are around you and keeping it very important. Like those elements important, the who's there, and not the you know theatrics of everything, because that kind of takes away from what a wedding should be. There's time to design theatrics, but it's like, save that for the live shows, save that for the social affairs and whatnot. But anyway, I digress. I can't even remember where I was going with that.
No, that's cool. No, that's great
My
insight.
flow of thought.
No, that's terrific. All right, take us back. Tell me about your family and growing up.
Oh yeah, this is fun. Well, uh, when I kind of wrote some things out because I just have to do that for myself because, as you can see, I can get off on tangents. But when I was thinking back, it was so much fun because I had a really cool upbringing, and so I grew up in an unincorporated town called Rowan, which as an adult I think, gosh, Rowan sounds so romantic and sweet. Like we're going off to Rowan for the weekend. But it's a small, sweet little town. But we lived on a small farm. It was only 10 acres, but we had horses and cows and a pet bull, and our neighbors had chickens and all the things. But what was so much fun is we called it the 4 E's Ranch, and my dad and my grandfather had a band, and it's so funny because now this is like kind of the hip thing to do, especially around here, is to have these farm parties. And we were doing it like way back in the day, and it was a whole weekend. People would, we'd have the people off to one side like grilling and doing all the things. The kids, we'd be uh, getting hauled around in the pony cart by Slim, who was the gentleman who owned the gas station down the road, and he had a famous mule named Elrod, who he drank Dr. Pepper out of a pipe. So people would come from all over to watch that. But we had the best times because we did it every summer, and it felt like we did it maybe we hosted them maybe 2 or 3 times a summer. But it was the best. It was the bonfire, the singing around the campfire, and it was like a full band. Like it was incredible. And uh, and then we had, I always joke to people, I'm the heiress of the 4 E's Ranch Worm Farm. We had, there was a river that people would go to, and they would pass by where we lived to get to it. And so Daddy was just real, entrepreneurial, and he was like, well, I'm going to get red worms, and we're going to sell them to people going on their way to the thing. So I would go out there as a little girl, and I would pull the pull the worms apart because they multiply. And so I would tell him I was, doubling our profits. So But I recently found a business card, and it is one of my treasures. It is so funny, and so anyway, uh, that was those are my humble beginnings. And now, it's so funny. I think about myself as a child because I was always the one. Like I have a sister, and she was very, she read a lot, and she kind of kept to herself, and I was like, the social one, but there was no one to be social with. So I would spend hours in my bedroom, just like, creating plays, making outfits, like reorganizing my mother's china cabinet was a thing I loved to do for some reason.
Sure.
But I realized, and then of course, performing musicals and routines and whatnot on the front porch with friends when they'd come over. But I'm like, I was always wanting to get out. Like, like I couldn't wait to leave West Tennessee. But I just love to think of that little girl though, because I had so much fun in my little dreamland. So I kind of created my own little world, and as an adult, I kind of still do that. but my career actually afforded me opportunities to do the whole private jets here and there and everywhere, and entertain just some of the most incredible people, like philanthropists of this country that are, bazillionaires, but like getting to peek into that life and think about where I came from is just so fun. And, when those pinch yourself moments. But now it's funny, I'm back to a very humble time in life. Because of the pandemic, I was, the dream job that I had was that kind of dissolved because of new leadership and also the pandemic. And I found myself on furlough. And during furlough, though, I ended up down in Mississippi on a project that it was like an architectural construction slash interior design project. And it was converting a metal building into corporate offices slash helicopter hangar for an investment firm down in Mississippi. So that happened, and then when that was over, I had 3 weeks. I think I was without a job. So I'm so fortunate, and I found this role that was very similar to the one that I had previously, that I always call my other than what I was like the company that I owned. This was a dream job with security. So now I've found a similar role, but it's interesting because it's a smaller company, by far smaller company, that it's going to allow me not to be a workaholic, and I think that's something. It's like Workaholics Anonymous here. But I want to be able to, I want my life and everything else to trump that. And I take it very seriously, but it's like I do it for, I work and then I put it away. Whereas used to, it was 24/7. And that's how it's always been my whole career. Because when you own your own company too, you can't help but it be like 24/7. And I loved it, and I accomplished everything I wanted to with my company except for designing a runway show. That's the only thing I haven't done. And so I'm finding ways though to make that happen. So anyway, I'm just yapping. Please jump in.
No,
To be controlled here.
no, I think it's amazing. It's great insights. You've got obviously a very colourful personality, and yeah, I believe that you will find a way. Obviously, you've already done so much in your life, so yeah, like I think.
Well, I always feel like the universe has my back. Like I've always subscribed to that.
Yeah, and I get that vibe from you already, and yeah, I just can tell that you're always gonna be doing well in life. It's just your personality. You're very colourful. Yeah, you're very open. You're very honest, which is a really good quality to have.
Thank you. Also, I'm on 74 days of 100 days straight of yoga. And so
Wow.
I'm like in my super zen zone. So, and I have, by the way, taken off tonight just for you because I wanted to focus on this. And so I made but I always try to take one night off a week because, you have
Oh,
to give your body a rest. So
yeah.
anyway, it's a big deal.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you
You're
sincerely.
welcome. It's so worth it, Nick. This in
Okay.
itself is yoga. We'll say that.
That's amazing. Have you done? Obviously, you're talking about the jets and shuttling, so I guess that question is sort of semi-irrelevant. Where have you traveled in the United States, and have you traveled internationally, and where's your favourite place to go to?
Oh yeah. So funny enough, I'll go kind of backwards. In December, I was in Vail, Colorado. It's funny, during this whole year, I have been wanting to be in the mountains.
Sure.
And I think it's because usually our go-to is always to go to the beaches. So during the pandemic, I actually got a little bit of travel in, but like I said, I was in Vail in December, and uh, snowmobiled for the first time. Like I've skied, of course, but snowmobiled for the first time, and then and in fact, when I was there, I was on top of a mountain, and that's where I got the call for the job that I have now.
Wow.
And so it was like, again, it's just like these little magic moments that like happen, and I love it. And I hope that happens for everybody. I hope that's not just me, but I hope everyone thinks that of their life because it's so true. But Asheville, North Carolina did a girls' weekend with. They have a 40,000 square foot spot, the Grove Park Inn. So so we did that, and then Montana, which was amazing. That was in June, and everyone needs to go to Montana. Um, let's see, Aspen, Colorado. I went fly fishing there last year, I believe. Gosh, was that last year? Or no, the year before last. My goodness. Um, I started tying my own flies and getting into fly fishing, and a friend of mine, they gave me a rod, my first rod, and so I took it to the Frying Pan, which is a really great body of water, a river that's known, for like some of the most amazing fly fishing. So that's where I christened my rod, and I took some of the flies that I made, and caught me some good fish, and then uh, let's see, before that, I mean, Florida, all over the place. Texas, I lived in California, uh, Kentucky, like New England is lovely. The train from Boston to New York is something I think everyone should do. Of course, I've spent lots of time in New York in the Hamptons, and internationally, I've been to London and Costa Rica. I need to do more international. I just haven't. That's just something I need to make happen. And it's funny, when I was in London, I was supposed to go to have gone to Paris, but the hovercraft or whatever it was. Well, it was during the days of the hovercraft. I mean, I was younger, and it went on strike, and so we couldn't go. So that was such a shame. But I made a dear friend over there, and she and I have been friends since we were 16. And we've been in each other's weddings, like that whole thing. So there's no reason I shouldn't be going back and forth all the time to see her. But it's funny because they come over here a lot more than, I don't know. I think it's the more of the European way of living, to travel so much more. And so she's been over here quite a few times. In fact, they got married over here. But obviously, I've lived in Mississippi for a little bit. I lived in Georgia. I mean, I feel like I should have done this, but I feel like I've been to most all the states. I haven't been to the Dakotas, and I haven't been to Washington State.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I've been everywhere else.
Cool. It's amazing.
I've driven across the country 5 times, so that helped.
Yeah, for sure. That would have given you a lot of places to go to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Arizona. Now that's a lovely one. And I was surprised at how much I liked it. I was in Scottsdale, and then of course took a drive up to Sedona, and which again everyone should do that. It's just a beautiful part of the country, and everything they say about Sedona is so true. There's just like this vibe there. And people go there. I don't know if you know this, but people go there all the time to do like retreats and like get zen and all the things. And so you always
yeah.
meet people that are on their way to a retreat or coming back from one, or you know. So anyway, but it was a fun experience. And there's a restaurant in Sedona called Elote, and and I'm forgetting the chef's name. I believe his first name is Jeff, but I can't remember his last name. But anyway, I completely offended him unknowingly, and it wasn't even like an intentional. But I met this guy at the bar because I was there by myself. I was actually there for work scouting. So I just set myself at the bar, met this gentleman. So we decided to just order a bunch of stuff and split it because it's such a phenomenal menu. And the guys at the bar were like, giving us our food. And then this other gentleman walks up with a bowl of beans. And I was like, oh, don't worry about the beans. I said, I'm not even going to eat them anyway. And I look up and it's the chef. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have offended the chef. Because he looks at me and he goes, I have been working on these beans all day. But I mean, he's like a famous chef. Like, it's not just like anybody. And so I was like horrified. And of course, the first thing I did was, I humbly took the beans, and they were the most delicious beans I've ever had. And the funny thing is he came back and he was like, he said, I was being a little dramatic over the beans, on purpose. And he said, I hope you know that. So he signed a cookbook for me and all the things. And, and now we're like friends, right? But I was like, he'll never forget me, the girl
Yeah.
that practically threw the beans back at him. But then they have all this fun swag, and it says like, I love frijoles. Is that right? That's beans in Spanish, right? But anyway, and so I'm like, so I have this coffee mug that says I love beans on it from Elote. But anyway, so that's a story that describes me as that's a very Jen story, but.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely describes your personality.
But I travel a lot alone because, well, sometimes it's intentional. I like to try to take one trip a year that's a solo trip just to kind of get reset and everything. And sometimes I like one of my favorite things is honestly when I am somewhere and I think nobody knows where I am. Like there's something so
Yeah.
freeing about that moment. And but whenever I travel, if it's that kind of trip or if it's scouting or something, for work, that I always make friends like immediately. So it's like I have this little tribe and I always feel protected. I feel like it's again the universe having your back and making sure that you have angels around you or whatever in these people.
Yeah.
And so I never feel afraid. I think a lot of people are afraid to do something like that, and I've just never been.
Yeah. I think it's a good quality.
It panics my parents, but naturally. It's probably half
Alright.
the reason I do it.
What inspired Jennifer Daly?
Ooh, people. I love people, and it inspires me to see other people um do what they were born to do. Like when you see somebody like on stage,
Yeah.
to me that's like someone. It's like you're seeing someone's soul, and like Lin Manuel, like he's amazing, and I'm like I look at him and I think you are doing exactly what you were put on this earth to do. Um, so you know that inspires me. I think just beautiful simple things of beauty, like nature, like just simple, the simple
Yeah.
things, and wanting to make someone's day better.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm inspired to do that on a hopefully on a daily.
That's really good.
Thank you.
Uh, what do you like to do in your spare time? What are your hobbies? What are your passions?
Oh gosh. Well, yoga. I'm a huge yogi, and like I mentioned to you before, I'm on 100-day straight yoga trek, and I think what did I say? I'm on day 73, and so that I like to do because that's it's self care, but it's also it's so communal when you're with your fellow yogis and the beautiful spirits that are around you. It's just like it's that's just something I think is filling your soul. But of course, I love making things beautiful. Like even if it's just like rearranging something. Like if I'm walking around, let's say in a shop, um, and I see something, not quite together, I love just like resetting something and making it beautiful. Um, uh, and like obviously flowers. I'm a designer at
What's
heart,
your
and
favorite flower?
oh my gosh, it depends on the season, but I love orchids, especially the lady slipper,
Sure.
and then dahlias and uh, oh my goodness, the amaryllis. But I always love the variegated varieties, which are much more interesting, and peonies, which are indigenous here in the South. I don't know if you're familiar with the peony, but um, there's just nothing prettier than a bowl of cream is what this one particular one is called. I mean, it's bigger than your face. It's incredible. And the fact that it's like an actual flower that happens in nature is amazing. But I also love like rare ferns, which sounds funny, but there's like staghorn ferns and they're huge and they you don't plant them. They like grow off the sides of trees. They're incredible. I mean, y'all probably have amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine in Sydney. I mean, is it Sydney
Yeah, it's Sydney,
where you
yeah.
are in Sydney? And but but those are just a few. That's I've never been that person who just has the one answer for something.
Sure.
And
I get that.
sometimes I wish I was, but it's like that's just not me. But
I
I'm a
understand.
foodie, and I love to experimental cook, um, and trying new restaurant experiences. I don't like to do what do you call it? Oh my god, like I would never go to I never go to McDonald's or like I don't know. Um, I can't just do a regular restaurant. It has to be a chain. I couldn't really think of the word. I don't do chain restaurants. And it's not because what it's about. I don't. I appreciate the art and the craft of food and what people put into it. Um, and the art of it, and just appreciating, something interesting that's put in front of me that maybe has a story with it. But I just don't like it when I like to go to a restaurant and it's like troughing. Like I can't handle that.
Yeah.
Like, and also it just needs, an experience. 'Cause that's what I like. Like if I'm going to if someone's coming to my house, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm gonna, it might be one little thing, but it needs to be something needs to be an experience about when you sit down and have a meal. And I think if you're going to spend money, that I want my money to go towards supporting our farmers, supporting local, and all of those things, and being, it, at the same time, uh, nurturing your body, and so putting good things into it, and interesting things if the opportunity allows. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's
we're such a culture of culinary uh, curiosity, and so I think it's really fun to get into it.
cool. It's great insights. Um, what is the plan for Jennifer in the future? What are your next steps?
I have no idea. I think that's the fun part is I'm not sure. It's so funny because I've always been on a path. Like and for the most part, I've forged that path, myself, having, owned a business and all of that. And then kind of set forth for me when I started, in the corporate world. And I thought I would be there until I decided to retire. And now that that's changed, obviously I have a new career path and I love it. It's awesome. It's a different field, but I'm doing the same thing as I was doing for the healthcare company. Now I'm in law or the legal arena, and but I'm still, entertaining and, doing all the things I was doing for the the other company, just on a smaller scale. But like in life, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything's so strange now, and I feel like maybe we're all feeling that way because we don't really know. It's like what's around the corner. Like I don't know, but I mean, I do hope someone scoops me up. That would be kind of fun because I think I'm finally ready for a partner in crime, and so maybe it's that. Maybe that's the adventure that I haven't really. I mean, of course, I've dated and things like that, and I was married a long time ago. But like, I think I'm ready again.
That's awesome. Well, I hope that works out for
So maybe
you.
that's the next great adventure is, me as a wifey poo. I don't know. Which and hopefully lots of travel and just continuing on the ride. I mean, what else can you hope for? It's hard to. I'm afraid to plan anything because.
We're in extraordinary times. What can you do? Yeah, you just got to play it by ear.
But I'll tell you this: I manifest a lot of things, and this is one thing that I manifested was this whole podcast thing because I was wanting to do one. And I tried for like a hot second, and then I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to talk about because I don't know what I can commit to talking about, because clearly I'm all over the place. But so I was going to do a theatrical readings of my diaries because especially when I was growing up, I read them and I'm like, I was such a dramatic child, and they're hilarious. But then I was like, I did one or two, and then I was like, maybe I'd rather do this anonymously. So I kind of like backtracked. But there was a show, this funny variety show, a couple of years ago, and they did, like, people would, like your friend, would get your diary somehow and send it off to the show, and they would do reenactments of your diary entries, which I thought was hysterical. And I was like, I'm living for this right now. But so in my mind, it was kind of the same idea, but it didn't, it didn't portray that way. So, and when it's your own, it's different. I'm like, maybe just read other people's. So thank you, Nick, for giving me this opportunity to be on a podcast because this is the next best thing for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. You're a great guest. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
If you could go back in time, so say you're 18 again, and you could do things differently, would you change anything, or what would you do differently?
Oh my gosh, this is where we get like all emotional. Everything. Of course, everyone thinks about this, and I think it's more so I'd almost like to just relive moments more than change them, which is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I guess and I'll say this: I do wish that I was more financially privy. Like I wish I knew how to like do the stock market. Like I wish I knew how to. I wish my mind worked that way to like really clue in on that kind of like financials. I can't even talk about it. Like that's how bad I am. But like I know how to spend money. I mean, I get it. But but I wish that I had been a better investor. Let's say that. I wish I'd been a better investor. But it's funny. It's so American. I'm like, I mean, I live quite fabulously considering that I don't have anything, or that I have very little comparatively anyway, that I haven't amassed wealth, that I find myself in the most fabulous places with the most fabulous people. And sometimes I call it fake life. Like I'll go on vacations and I always rent like a luxury car. And like I'm driving around in like a Porsche, and I'm like, this is fake life, but I'm living Kardashian for a minute. And then I'm like, oh, I'm on a private jet. How did that happen? Like, and look at me, I'm in this fabulous house in the Hamptons or Nantucket. Like, how do I do that? Like, so somewhere I don't know. It's all going to come together. And in my mind, I'm supposed to own like 3 houses because I've never owned one, that's a whole other thing. I don't know. Oh, that was like when we moved when I was little from the farm. I left for camp. And I was a camp kid. I was gone all the time in the summer. And I came back. I was like 7 or 8. And my family's like, oh, well, we've sold the house. And we're building another one in town. We're moving to town. And I'm like, hold up. Like, nobody asked me. And like, I'll still have dreams about my room because I didn't get to say goodbye to it. Or my butterfly chandelier, which is very important to me. And so I think that has had a lot to do with why I can't be still. Like, I like to move.
Yeah.
Like, even within the city, like, I like to move around. And when it's like I want to own a house, but I'm afraid. It's like, but I like this aesthetic, but I also like that one. And what if
Yeah.
I'm upset that I didn't get this one and not that one? It's just, I don't know. So we'll see. But that's what I said. I need 3 houses so I can have,
Have it all. Yeah.
my condo in the city, something at the beach, something in the mountains. I mean, nothing big. I'm not asking for much. It could be 3 condos, but
Why not?
why not?
That's it. You're funny.
I'm glad I'm entertaining.
You're definitely entertaining. In your opinion, not to get too political, where do you see the United States generally positioned going into the future, moving forward?
Pleading the fifth. Again, we're along for the ride.
Go on with the ride. All right.
Yeah. What do y'all think about it? That's a better question. I always wonder what y'all think. Like, I've been thinking I understand why other countries hate us. Like, I've thought about those things for a long time. Like, I get it why people think we're such, whatever. But what do y'all think? Like, what are your perceptions of us?
I can't speak for obviously other people, but I'll speak on my opinion. I think things have changed. I can't be the judge yet on if that's better or worse because obviously it's only new. I believe to your point what you said, only the time will tell in the future is coming, so that will obviously paint a brighter picture. To your point about people hating the United States, I don't personally believe that. I actually think opposite. And I'll tell you why. We're actually here in Australia and a lot of Western countries are, I guess, censored and cultured by your TV shows, what your sports are, what your lifestyles are, what your lives are about. We see it on TV, we see it commercially, even with chains like McDonald's, KFC. So we've got a sub-part of your culture, I guess, is probably the best way I could describe it. So for Australians, I don't believe we hate you. I think if anything, we've got an appreciation. You're a strong ally of ours. So from my personal perspective, I think America's great. I think you're in a great position. I think you're a great leader. You're a world leader. I think you're a powerhouse. And yeah, I have respect for the United States personally.
Okay, I'm glad you still perceive us that way. I've been worried.
Yeah, no. I think it's going to change. I think it's always going to be like that. We're a strong ally. Like we've always had a great relationship with the United States and Australia personally. So, I believe it's going to be great going into the future.
Well, we are very resilient. I will say that, and I think honestly, with the pandemic, the best thing to come out of it, I think, for everyone though, is community
Yeah.
and taking care of each other. And there's a lot of good things, and I think it's made us less. I think with the time that we've been able to take to kind of breathe, even though it's not, you know, I hate that it's a plague that's making us do this, but being able to kind of reset,
Yeah.
I think has been a blessing. And but we'll see. I mean, I have confidence in, Biden and Harris, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Because what can we do? We have to do. We have to. We have to do better
Yeah, you can only control what you can
and
control,
move
and
forward.
yeah, exactly. That's great insight, Sam. Thanks for your opinion. Um, Jennifer, thank you for joining my podcast. I do appreciate it. You've been
Nick,
great. Thank you.
this is a good time. It's
Okay.
happy hour in. Well, no, it's happy hour here.
Yeah,
It's brunch time there,
yeah.
but either way, we could have a drink. So virtual cheers, toasties.
Virtual cheers to you.
Oh, well, tell me this. What's a cheer? What's a toast that I would say in Australia?
Cheers.
Like, what do you?
Just
Oh,
say cheers. Or cheers, mate. I don't know.
there's
Just
the
cheers. Yeah. Just
commonality. Okay,
yeah. Cheers. Yeah. It's worldwide cheers, I believe, in English-speaking countries. So.
there you go. I love it. Well, thank you again, Nick. It's been a pleasure. You made the world feel a little bit smaller today in the best way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So,
And
virtual
so
high
did you.
five.
Virtual high five. I'll speak to
All
you
right.
later. Take care. See ya.
Bye.